Welcome, everybody. This is Darren Shulman, and I'm excited to talk to Cybil Lake, who is the writer, director, and star of a new movie coming out called Central Park Dark. So first of all, Cybil, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So first off, let's start off with this. Tell us a little bit about Central Park Dark. I had the opportunity to watch it yesterday, but for those of people who are watching who haven't, tell us about the movie.
Okay, well, Central Park Dark is a horror thriller film about a one-night stand that turns into a never-ending nightmare. And that's basically the whole process of making this film. Every aspect, I would say. So Tom Sizemore plays an alcoholic married doctor, and he reconnects with me, Anna, a woman with whom he has a past. And during a heated argument, I jump out of the window, and then I start to torment him, though he's unclear if I'm alive or not. And I appear in his dreams, and I let him in on a secret about the long history of dark forces in Central Park. And then I use these dark forces to take revenge on him. And the rest of the movie is Tom struggling to get back to his normal life and keep a secret from his wife. Sort of a descent from there.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Tom Sizemore, he's a big time actor. He's been in a lot of things, Natural Born Killers, Black Hawk Down. I mean, he's very recognizable. So tell me what it was like working about him. And I guess people should know this isn't one of those movies where it says Tom Sizemore's in it, but he shows up for a line and then gets off. I mean, he is in this movie. He's almost as much as you, I would say. So
yeah,
tell us about working with him.
Well, I would say that was my number one job, is babysitting Tom, way more than anything, producing, making sure the props are in the right place. Any of the things I was doing was probably, making sure he's not disappearing and that he's not unhappy. And he actually really loves the movie. He was happy during most of it, but I had to really keep an eye on him. And so he's a great actor, and I think he enjoyed being on a lower budget film because, everyone there was more of a camaraderie, I'd say, in some ways. And he liked being sort of the focal point there, the star who can talk about all sorts of things. So he enjoyed a lot of those aspects. And then in terms of filming, we shot 10 days. And initially he was the main character, but later on when I put the film together, it didn't work. So I had to rewrite, and we reshot all sorts of things. And then I kind of came more into prominence in the film because, I was available. I was in New York at the time. So, and he was in LA. So I had to get creative. I, added voiceover and B-roll stuff and lots of history and flashbacks just to kind of flesh it out and, edit together some semblance of a story.
Well, so the first thing I have to tell you, having seen the movie, is I couldn't tell that you did all that. So kudos to you. I mean,
That's
you
right.
can tell sometimes when a movie is filmed weird and they hodgepodge it together. I mean, everything you did at least looked like it was your choice for doing that. So kudos to your editing and your retouching skills. So you mentioned it yourself. I mean, I don't think it's a bad word. You said this is a low budget film. How did you get Tom Sizemore to do it? I mean, he's kind of a big time actor.
Yeah. I was on IMDb Pro, and I'd been reaching out to different people, and I was always a fan of him. So I looked carefully, and I saw that in between his agent and manager part, he has a direct email there. I don't know if he still has it. So I emailed him directly, and then it was great timing because his manager and him were in an argument. So we didn't work with the argument. We didn't work with the manager during this project. Otherwise, it probably would have been a lot more complicated. You talk about, I would say about film and TV, everything is like so much about timing, right? I mean, I only just saying this to you for the first time really understood the window there, that made it possible. And so I sent him the script. He read it in like an hour and a half. And then he was like, I have this window of time before I make this other project. And, I'd done no pre-production, zero. And I really need to do another rewrite, but I was also 4 months pregnant. So it was like, we both have this window. Let's just do it. Especially because I was thinking like, well, I don't know who I'm going to be after I have a child. Like maybe I won't be wanting to make a film, or maybe I'll never lose the baby weight. Maybe something will, or maybe I don't know. It's such an unknown. And it turns out, I'm the same person with the same passions, but like, but you don't know, and so it was like, I have to shoot this, whether or not it's ready. I'm sure I can fix it in editing, which is what every indie filmmaker decides. And I have decided 2 or 3 times
Well, I
in
think
the
if you can
past.
get Tom Sizemore, you got to kind of grab that 10-day window anyway. I mean, that was a great opportunity for you to grab him. So
Yeah.
there's another gentleman in the movie that I totally recognize, and he has a smaller role, but it's Roger Rathburn, and
Oh
he
yeah, I love
showed
him.
up in. I think I've seen him in Elementary and like a Law and Order SVU. He's the kind of guy who pops up in like one episode,
Yep.
but he's a good actor and he's very
I love
recognizable.
him.
So what was it like working with him, and how did you snag
Amazing.
him?
He was amazing. He is my inspiration for a lot of things, actually. I have to remember him if I get lazy, because okay, he's an older gentleman, and I was in order to make this film, I had like a part-time job, which was the way you do it. Like if you want to, or the way I did it, the way if you've got a big creative project, a part-time job is like how you can kind of temporarily be working a little bit.
Yeah.
So um I had put up an ad on Backstage, and he had emailed me, "I'll meet you at lunch." And I'm like, "What?" Like, no one's ever done that. And it was just like, whoa. And then he got there and he was like telling me why he wants to do this. And it was like, I mean, it was just a done deal. Like, I mean, that was really unbelievable to me. That proactiveness was
Yeah.
super amazing. And we're in touch all the time. Um, he just got a new manager, and I was actually, or agent, I don't remember which one. And I was complaining that I don't have an agent and a manager with all this stuff that I've done. It's like crazy, but that's just the way it is. And, I've been sort of looking for one. So I was like complaining to him about that. And then I was thinking about him coming to lunch, and I was just like, wow, he like met me on my lunch hour,
Yeah.
and that was really rare. So he's a fantastic actor. He loves acting. He's had a long career, on Broadway and things like that. And now he's really in his element now. And he's really, coming to his own right now. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a small part, but it was definitely memorable, and I remembered him so much that I looked him up. I was like, who is this guy? I know I've seen him, and I had. He's got one of those faces, and
I'm gonna have to tell him. He'll be so happy to know.
yeah, I love Elementary. I've seen a lot of the shows he was in, so he's always got that one episode stint, but he's very memorable. So please pass my positive thoughts to him. I really appreciate it.
Okay, I definitely will.
So we've talked about 2 other people in the movie, but obviously I'm not interviewing them. I'm interviewing you. So in your description, you kind of laid this out there, but you kind of come off as a crazy single white female vibe.
Yeah.
When you were writing the movie, did you write that part for yourself, or was it like you did? Okay. And what does that say about you?
I mean, yeah, again, because I don't have representation, like I'm going to write roles for me. So I decided to I wrote this role, particularly because like when I am cast, I'm like, typically typecast, and I knew that like a long time ago. There was like, oh, this is going to be an issue, so because I am a writer, I have an opportunity to write for myself. And I went to film school. I went to Tisch and NYU, and there I did act and direct in my films. And so I actually as a young child, I knew I wanted to be an actor, and I acted in everybody else's films in school. And then moving forward, I just did a lot of acting. Acting's like my biggest passion. Writing is actually they're almost equal. Filmmaking and all the technical details, no, this is a very low. It's like, I love these things, but that's part of it. Is like they go hand in hand. I mean, in this
you
scenario.
alluded to that earlier about the kind of. It sounds like there might have been some pain in the production process. So when was this movie made, and was it impacted by COVID at all? Because I mean, right now there's no movies out.
No, actually, I sold it right. I sold it right at the beginning of COVID. I officially sold it, and then there were all these technical problems that I had to fix for the distributor.
Okay.
And I just never even knew I'd have to take that journey. So, but even in post-production, nightmare. Shooting, nightmare. Everything was a nightmare. Everything's writing, like everything was a nightmare. Writing and acting are fun. Everything else is a nightmare.
Not so much fun. So that leads me to my next question. You're like feeding me my own questions here, but talk to me about the challenges and benefits of starring in a movie that you wrote and that you're also directing and doing all this work on. There's got to be some positives to it, but I can imagine it'd be challenging because you're playing all these different roles.
Actually, nobody ever really asked me like, yeah, that's like the positives of it, because it just looks like a lot of negatives. Like when you're doing way too many things, right? There is a lot of negatives. You're doing way too many things. And like, I never gave myself the time I would give like Tom or any other actor before a scene. In retrospect, I'm like, why wouldn't I give myself that time?
Yeah.
Because I was doing too many things, I guess. But I think the positives are, here it is, like, okay, so we shot it, put it together. It's not working at all. Maybe as an actor, if I was cast in that, I've actually never thought about this till just this moment, but say like I was cast in that thing would have been set aside. Whereas me, I set it aside for a little bit and then picked it up again and was like, maybe there's some way I can rework this, and shot all these other scenes and created a whole new mythology about Seneca Village, about the baby and the pregnancy and motherhood. None of that was included. The voiceover, none of that was a part of it. The dream sequences, the flashbacks, that's all
Really?
me, like throwing stuff in, trying to make stuff work. And that sort of other character, Sarah May, she was there a little bit, but then I like kind of fleshed that out more. So if I was just an actor, I would have had a project that, like many I've been in, that they never see the light of the day. Whereas I said, I think I'm going to finish this. I'm just going to finish this because I had made a feature film. I'd started one before. First of all, I made a feature film in my 20s. It was really good. And I acted and directed and totally could sell it in today's market. But being young, I didn't get into Sundance. And then I was like, my life is over, and I stepped away for a while, from film and TV, because I kind of had to too, and then I started another film, and I knew I had script problems, and so I stopped it. And I still feel sad that like all those actors I roped in, but actually we've all been in projects that don't go anywhere. So it's actually, I can let that go. But, but this one, that's part of where I was like, I have to finish it. And I also thought, I have this commodity, Tom, so like there is some way I've got to tweak this to make this somewhat work. And that was like kind of the goal. And I was frustrated a lot. And I wrote other things along the way. And then I said, I just finish this. So I did finish it. And then I sold it at the AFM, the American Film Market. No, actually, I met with a bunch of distributors, and then I got a few offers, and then I decided on the best one. And then I didn't even know that I had that other journey of the technical problems and giving all these deliverables, which is all the paperwork and all these technical things that I didn't know I had to do. And so, I'm always like, the advice to everybody is like, you have to love this project. This project was sort of like, I'd been working on another thing that was very serious and big and important. And then I wrote Central Park Dark. It's sort of a lighter thing, and, you have to know that like a film could become your like life work, whether or not you want it or not,
So obviously there's a lot of people out there who enjoy movies and maybe they've dabbled with writing one or acting. How do you get something off the ground like that? This is a huge undertaking. You don't just pick up a video camera and just start filming your friends. This is like a real movie. How do you do that?
Yeah. I've written a lot of scripts, so it starts always with the script. It always starts with the script, unless you're one of those really avant-garde people,
just
like,
do stuff and it comes out great.
Do stuff, and initially I actually was like that a little bit, like when I was younger, because I was like coming from like a different kind of background where I was like more of a poetry person, and so it was like structure doesn't matter. And now I actually know like structure is everything. And I didn't ever want to hear that because it's not very glamorous, but like any film that isn't working that you're watching, anything, it's because there's like not that structure. There's a very classic structure that needs to work. I know you can mess with it all sorts of ways, but storytelling is a real craft, and I think the script is really where it's got to be.
So we've been talking about the movie. We talked about Tom Sizemore and your performance. When and how can people see Central Park Dark?
February 2nd on Amazon and iTunes.
And so is that like Amazon Prime or something, or or they can rent it on Amazon?
I don't know. That's what the
So go to Amazon and find it. But the nice thing is you can do Amazon from home. It's COVID. There's no movie theaters. So you can do that, anytime and at your convenience, and you can get on Amazon. What'd you say the other one was?
iTunes.
iTunes, excellent. So if people are enjoying our conversation, like, hey, I want to know what she's doing next, do you have like social media or any web pages or anything people can follow?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, Cybil Lake, and Facebook, Cybil Lake. There's centralparkdark.com. There's cybillake.com. There's Twitter.
So you're all over the interwebs. Just kidding.
I do my best. I do my best.
So you didn't know this going in, but whenever I do my interview, I always close it out with a fun discussion of one of your early roles. And you get to pick. I give you a choice, and you can talk about both of them or one. And here's the two I've picked.
Okay.
Option one, your role as FBI agent on The Following, which was a show that I really liked and coincidentally also featured some really crazy people. Option two is your role as neighbor on the Daredevil show, because I'm a comic book nerd and I love Daredevil and I love the show. So discuss your experience.
I'll talk about neighbor because
Okay.
I was supposed to have a line, and I remember I was on set. We were shooting in Brooklyn, and the name of the show was hidden. Like we weren't supposed to know what it was. Nobody knew what show it was. Daredevil. Like I didn't until later. I didn't even know I was on Daredevil. And then I'm watching.
You didn't even know what you were on.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know. That happens all the time. And I was like, I didn't even really know. And then someone was like, I saw you in this thing. I've still never seen it. I don't even remember what I say. I say like as the neighbor, I say something. Oh, and it's set in another time, isn't it? It's like it was like the 70s or 60s, or maybe it was a flashback or something.
Oh, wasn't it? I have to go back and watch it. I was going to ask you what episode it was, but you don't even know, it sounds like.
Somebody was like, I saw you on Daredevil. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Then I put it together. Oh, it must be that. And then IMDb told me when you were the neighbor, that was on Daredevil.
So do you remember what you did? Like, do you remember what it was at all?
And I mostly remember it was like one of those days where it's not freezing, but you're cold in like what they gave you. And you're like, and it was endless for this one line that I had, and I was waiting on this stoop, and like I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. That's filmmaking, particularly on like studio things. It is waiting. I mean, waiting. We didn't wait on Central Park Dark. We moved things. We used every single frame. We used every single second. But like that is like I remember just standing on that stoop, being like, "Is it gonna rain? When is this over? Where's my life going?" That was my experience on Daredevil.
So we are going to create a challenge for all our viewers. This is the Cybil Lake challenge. If you can get a screenshot from the Daredevil show with you in it and send it to your Twitter, we want to see it, because I'm going to go back and rewatch it.
I would be overjoyed, because sometimes I'm like I kind of like that look that I had that they put on, the hair and makeup people, they always do your hair in such a great way. I'd love to see how my hair looked.
So I know I said that would be my final line of questioning, but this brings up a very important question for me. I would assume if I got to be an actor or got to be in a movie, even as an extra, I would be like finding it and watching it right away and like freeze framing myself and just staring at myself like in the background over your shoulder on Central Park or whatever. It doesn't sound like you do that.
I know, I don't.
Is that an actor thing, or are you unique? Because I would seriously be like, I'm on TV, look.
I think a lot of actors do that. Yeah, I think a lot of actors do that. And then some of them, like, doesn't Joaquin Phoenix, he never watches himself. So
I've heard that he never does.
Into that category.
Well, I have to say this has been a very fun discussion. Please feel free to reach out to us when you have your next project, which it sounds like you may avoid doing the production part. Stick to the acting and the writing, it sounds like. But.
Totally. Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's totally the goal. And it's achievable. Except that I might start writing and making something like
you need to write a movie about how hard it was to make the movie. It's very meta,
I don't even want to think about how hard it was ever again.
But it's done, it's ready, people can see it. Once again, when and where can people see Central Park Dark?
High Octane Pictures is releasing it February 2nd, iTunes and Amazon. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, this has been fun. So we'll do it again next time you do your next movie that you're acting in. Yeah,
and probably directing in it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.